All right, we don't have an intro, but we're starting the show anyhow. Every Tuesday, Clovertack and I have been getting together. We started talking about or shot show back in the day, almost this time last year, but we just continued to keep talking every Tuesday. But people show up and chat with us about what we are interested in, which is creating content. We are both longtime gun owners, so our content often revolves around guns and stuff like that. And yeah, we talk about that stuff on Tuesday. So I'll let Clover introduce herself, then we'll talk about today's topic.
Hey,
Thanks for
what's
joining
up,
us.
everybody? Good to be here. Yeah, yeah. I will say, I will say this. I learned something new in this last week. If you never want to go through a day that you don't learn something new. But I did learn something new this last week with in regards to content related to reloading, casting, that sort of stuff. So maybe we can dive into some of that, or if anybody out there is listening and they have are having issues with that type of stuff, definitely reach out. I've learned some tips, tricks, ways to, not bypass policy. Of course, we don't uh, talk about that, but how to navigate and work within it. So let me know.
Right on. So the topic today is balancing the engagement of new and returning audience. So you do something. I think it was Gizzard last week who mentioned something about this at the end of the show. You do something and then you create or you gain a certain level or you create a whatever an audience or something, and then the challenge is to keep that audience and to grow or keep that audience. So She Fires had asked or had made the comment, and I think we grabbed it as the topic for this week, and I think it's a good one. So we'll be getting into balancing the engagement of new and returning audiences. This is a live conversation. We do this live as opposed to a prepared scripted show. So definitely say hey if you're out there. If you've got ideas, questions, or observations, let us know. We're trying something a little bit different today. If you're interested in chatting off air for maybe an hour or so privately, so you can talk about your projects, your situations, and you want our advice, you can have it. We'll offer links out there. So if you're interested, let us know. It'll be sort of a workshop situation today. It's not like we have the time to devote hours and hours to this, but we can definitely add another hour to our chatting time today if anybody's interested in chatting about specific things privately in the off air. What is what we call it when the show ends. We're still in this room together, so I don't know how long ago everybody started calling that the off air chat, and we'll offer a link to that. So to say hey to Worthwhile Fun out there, first person to join us this morning live. We're going to be talking keeping engagement with both the new people and the people that have been around for a while. But Clover, you had mentioned talking about specifically reloading, some strategies for reloading and complying with policy, and still talking about reloading.
Yeah,
Let's get started with
reloading.
that since we're waiting for audience to show up and ask us questions or give us some ideas, just talking points. Otherwise, we'll just start talking. You know, that's going to happen.
Yeah, just a basic quick rundown. I mean, it won't take long. I mean, obviously, depending on the channel and the specifics of what they're doing as far as their content is going to, dictate, where this goes from there. But um, the hang up. I know people are having trouble with reloading, and the hang up seems to be more in the vein of casting than it is actual reloading. And so that answers a lot of questions that I know a lot of creators have had where they're like, hey, man, there's all these channels that are doing reloading and they're fine. But now, I do that and I get hit. And, it seems like those channels that are getting hit is more so with the casting side of things, not the reloading. Right. And so there's been a shift in the thinking with YouTube and the application of policy as it pertains to, reloading and casting and things like that. And I don't want to say a policy has changed. All too often, you hear that you get talking heads that come out that, let's be honest, they have no clue about policy and policy application and other things. They're just regurgitating and they're trying to stir the pot, and they'll come out and go, oh, YouTube changed the policy. And it's like, no, YouTube didn't change the policy. They just, it's evolved into the understanding of the policy and how it's enforced. Like word for word, the policy has not changed. It's exactly the same, right? And so that's kind of what's happened is they've they've really backed off and loosened up seemingly on the actual reloading part of things, and they've leaned little more heavily into the casting. And just to kind of give you an idea of why that is, it really has nothing to do with gun tubers. It really has nothing to do with 2A or the firearm space. It has to do with what I've kind of said all along is the whole idea of harmful or dangerous acts and the potential liability. So if you think about it, you know, you're you're showing how to cast stuff, for example, how to cast lead, right? Meltdown, reclaimed lead pipe, whatever it might be. Cast that into projectiles. There's some toxicity with that process. I mean, that can make you sick. It could end up killing you. I mean, it is a dangerous thing if it's not done correctly. Um, and so unfortunately, it gets into the issue where most gun tubers, people that are doing firearm related stuff, they're looking at the firearm policies only, and they don't look at any of the other aspects of policy. And so, if you dive into like the harmful acts portion of policy, for example, there
You're
is
talking like EPA and environmental, and then like whatever OSHA and like wearing
yeah,
proper eyewear and that kind of thing.
yeah, yeah, like even the way I set up and cast would not be considered compliant enough, right, to be able to do anything on with it on YouTube. Even though I get with my annual, I get a lead analysis or whatever you want to call it, right? Every year for every checkup because I've casted projectiles and stuff like that for decades at this point. And so, I show no signs of any type of lead related issues, but even my setup for casting is not, would not be considered OSHA compliant and whatever, right? So, imagine you get out and you're casting and you don't really lean into every single video you put out on your casting. You don't really lean into the proper gear and a lot of things like that. And then you get somebody out there that, you know, does it on their stove in their apartment or something, right? Like that's super problematic. And so, um, just keep in mind that moving forward. And again, we can't get into specifics necessarily because we've got to make up scenarios, right, in order to try to discuss the application of policy. So that's why I said, like in the beginning, if you do reloading, if you do casting, and if you're having issues, just reach out. We'll get some specifics and see if we can't give you some direction on how to correct those issues. And I've had a couple channels already reach out, and hopefully we've got them taken care of. I hope to field the call maybe a little later today, um, and kind of finish up getting one of those creators taken care of as far as everything on their end. But um, yeah, like I said, not a change in policy as far as the wording and what it says, but kind of a shift where they backed off of the actual, oh, this is people are making ammunition. And I'll tell you another thing too that was a sticking point, and you really got to be careful with this. And this goes to anything. This is across the board when you're doing things, and it's really easy for me sitting in Texas to go out and do something and give no thought of, hey, are there laws, are there statutes, are there ordinances, are there regulations, is there legislation in other areas in other states, right, that does not allow for people to do this? Um, and so that's an issue too. If you get into the whole idea, when you think about the whole idea of casting, because like I said, casting is more of a problematic issue than the actual reloading nowadays in regards to policy. When you go out and cast, are you saying something like, "Well, if you live in California, your ammo has to go through, and here's a way to get around all that type thing," right? Like, here's a way to circumvent laws, statutes. You can't be getting on YouTube and telling people, "Hey, here's how you break the law," right? Or here's how you circumvent, right, the law. Like that becomes problematic. So you got to be careful with that type of language. And that too is another sticking point why casting is an issue. Like components for reloading are pretty much readily available. You can buy projectiles, you can buy this, you can buy that. And in the sense of those legislative things, that stuff to an extent is regulated, right? Um, when you talk about casting going out in your backyard or whatever, and building a projectile, it's they see it. YouTube sees that in the same light. We know they've got a real stick in their craw when it comes to building your own firearms, right? And again, that gets back even into the danger, harmful acts, liability component more so than it's an actual gun issue. But there's also that element of its potential circumvention of the law, whatever the law of the land might be, whether we agree with the law that the land or not, right? The fact that it's there is the fact that it's there. And that's the angle at which YouTube comes at it. Like, if we don't want that to be a sticking point for YouTube, then we need to work to change those laws and that regulation. Yeah, I don't know how much further to go on that, quite honestly. Gee.
All right. Well, it sounds like, to sum it up, then there's the element of how you're doing it, not just what you're doing it.
Oh,
So
it's
if you were,
always presentation and context is always key. Yes.
so if you were melting gold to make rings or something like, something in that realm, in the art realm, they might have the same issues over there, and they're going,
They
oh, they
will.
don't like our art.
Absolutely.
They don't like what we made. They don't like our
Great
ring. Well,
point.
no, they don't like the way you made your ring, buddy.
Great point. Yes, and that's exactly true. Glad you brought that up. Yeah, if you were casting, jewelry or something would be, or fishing weights, right? Would be a direct example.
Oh, DJ says there's a 2 p.m. Central. When is 2 p.m. Central? Noon here? Is that today?
Yeah, it's noon. Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine we could. Let's see. So I have a poll going right now. So our topic today. First off, thanks everybody for joining us live. Seeing some people saying, "Hey." Got some. Okay, the topic today is balancing the engagement of new audience and returning audience, or returning audience, right? So we put a poll over on the Gun Websites channel. We're broadcasting on, or simulcasting on the GunTuber Academy, on the Gun Websites channel, and on the Daily Gun Show channel. So there are people listening on all of them right now. The main channel, the Gun Websites channel, at least my main channel, is the only one I can edit. So that's where I put it. And it's the only one I can edit without bouncing all around. So anyhow, the chat is over there, or the poll is over there. Which is more important to a new channel? Right? Which is more important to a new channel? Because this could change. New audience or returning audience? And we'll get answers there as they come in. Do you have an answer to that one? Do you think?
Oh yeah, yeah. I don't know if I should throw it out, but yeah.
Oh, then let's wait until we see what the results are.
Right.
So getting into the topic today, balancing the engagement of new and returning audience. I don't know. I'm throwing it at you. So I asked the robots, because the robots know everything. And let's see. They said balancing the engagement of new and returning audience members is essential for the growth and retention of your community. To maintain a healthy balance, consider the following strategies. And I'm going to read them through them, and then we'll go through them together as humans. Know your audience, diversify content, use a content calendar, personalize user experience, engage on social, nurture your community, and then monitor and adapt. So they go into each of these, but those are the bullet points. So with there's that structure in mind, what are you thinking of the topic? Which way would you go with it?
Well, there's a bunch of different ways we can go.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And thanks to Sheep Fires for the idea, and Gizzard for the setup.
You get, at some point, when you're pondering this, right, new versus, the returning, you're spreading your message versus, the vast majority of people you have in your camp, right, or whatever. A word comes to mind, and that word is saturation, right? So at some point, you achieve a certain, or as you grow, as you get more and more people that are returning audience, you're achieving like a higher level of saturation. Um, and so I think at that point, the new audience thing um, starts to become a little less important. I do agree with the AI that it's, what a word they've used, essential. I do agree for like a growing channel, it's pretty obvious that you can't get returning audience unless you first get them as a new, as a new viewer, right? But at the same time, if you're I think we've gotta talk about the approach a little bit, because if you are strictly flavor of the day, putting out things um, to trendy stuff, whatever, to potentially bring in new audience, are you still providing the value, right, that keeps the returning audience there? Because, make no mistake, in order to get, first of all, in order to get any type of extended engagement from a new viewer comes in, they see your video, they're interested. Oh, wow, the topic, right? The topic is going to be one of the biggest things that drives a new viewer to click. And then they come in, and then obviously your presentation context, there are many factors that go into how you facilitate the delivery of that value, and that's going to dictate how much they watch, whether or not they click the thumbs up, whether or not they comment, a lot of different things, right? And so um, I think that's important, and the value that you offer, I think, is directly related to whether or not they stick around and why they keep coming back. Now, with that said, we've got to be really careful because we're dealing with a lot of nuance, right? And that was speaking about the new viewers coming in. When we talk about returning audience, we talk about uh, your loyal viewers. There is many reasons. I think the value propositions bring them in initially, but then as time goes on and as a higher level of saturation with that audience, with those viewers, is achieved, I think you start getting viewers out there, loyal viewers, loyal audience members, that they tune in for a totally different reason. It could be your personality. It could be a certain part of the delivery, a certain way that you produce that video, right? Sure, the value proposition still has to be there in order to get the maximum effect. Um, but they understand the channel. They understand the overall tone, the overall direction. Like, they've been around, right? They know who you are. They know what you do. They can in their mind, they can compare and contrast the current video that's released to past videos, right? So they pick up on some of the nuances, right, that new viewers may not be able to pick up on. Um, and a good example with that is when you have a series of videos. Series of videos um, are more conducive to long term audience, to building engaged, loyal viewers, I think, than it is catching new ones. And the reason with that is, by the time you get to the third, fourth, fifth, sixth video in that series, you're not covering every single point of contention on that item. Let's say if it's a review video on this, or how is this held up over time, or this is the process by which you do X, Y, and Z. And the new viewers come into that, and they're lost to a certain extent. They come in on the third episode, just like clicking on a TV show, or nowadays with video on demand, it's not a problem. But imagine the days, especially if you're young to not remember it. Imagine the days when you had commercial breaks, right? And what if you caught a TV show, a movie on TV, whatever it might be, after the second commercial break, right? Like you're lost to an extent. Imagine if you come in at episode 2, 3, 4, 100, whatever, right? To an extent, you're going to be lost. Now, those assuming that you're able to give that value proposition, your presentation is there, all these other aspects of your video in that series is present. Um, Maybe they jump back, and it's really important, again, context in the presentation to make it understood at the first of a video series like that, that look, this is a part of a series, and if you haven't seen the previous 2, 3 episodes, whatever it might be, right? Here they are. Go get caught up. Now, a certain amount of new audience coming in are not going to do that. They clicked on that expecting something that was not there. They expected the A to Z, even though it might have said series or it might have, whatever. There was language, there was vernacular, put in that, hey, this is not a um, complete work, you know. But you got, things get lost on people, I guess is what I'm saying. But you still have to make that effort. And yeah, I think that's where we get into. Um, you have to make them give when you're doing a series thing. Try to make it as self-contained as you possibly can while still being a part of a series, right? So don't leave anything major. And again, there's going to be minor things, and people that have been around on your channel before and whatever, they're going to pick up on those minor things from previous videos or whatever, and that's totally fine. That can be almost like little Easter eggs, which can be fun. But try to make those self-contained to where that new viewer coming in doesn't assume, right, that it is a complete work. And the reason that they don't assume that, or they don't assume that, how am I going with this? You want a new viewer to come in and be able to get a value on that particular part of whatever the task or the thing is that the series is about. Um, Give an example. We'll go back to like guitar playing because we've used that before. Let's say you're going to do, hey, we're learning all types of chords, right? And so in this video series, maybe you started out with a few major chords, right? And then you're going to get into minor chords, right? Don't muddle and mix the minor chords with the major chords. Like, build that video, even if it is one video in a series, build that as this is just about the minor chords, right? That way, somebody comes in, it's a new viewer, all they're concerned with, because that's what they're looking at, the thumbnail, the title, whatever it might be, is minor chords. That's what they're wanting to do, you know. And then once they get in there, they realize, hey, if it is somebody that's interested in more than just the minor chords, right? Like minor chords is what they kind of are wanting to learn and what's kind of drawn them in. But then they get in and they go, oh snap, okay, this is a series, and this person has already covered the major chords, right? Well, then they can jump back. But even if they don't want to jump back, you still cover what you need to cover for that person to get, again, to get the value across with those playing minor chords on the guitar.
I think the guitar one is too specific because I don't know anything. I know what guitar is, but I don't know anything about chords and all that. You lost me on that stuff, just FYI. I think driving or something, a little more.
Well, I mean, we all, music, there's different types of chords no matter what, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what chords are, so you lost me with. I couldn't follow you with the chord, but anyway, I know what you're talking about. You had a lot of points there. I didn't want to interrupt, so I made some comments here. But this is an interactive show, so I'm encouraging people who are out there. We see more and more people showing up, be part of the show. We're talking about engagement, balancing engagement between new and returning audience. There's She First. Thanks for the topic again, and thanks to Gizzard for the assist with that. We have a poll going, so if you want to make a choice publicly with everybody, there's a poll going, and we'll talk about our answers once the poll has some time to cook over there.
Probably worth
So,
throwing out the potential after chat consulting too again.
oh snap,
since
that's a good idea. Yeah, we
audience-
talked a little bit about this last week. We talked about it before. So we're going to go for an hour off air. So if anybody's interested in chatting off air privately in a workshop type of thing, talk about specifics, talk about things that you wouldn't want to talk about in the main thing or just didn't work in the mainstream here.
Oh, and it doesn't have to be topic related, correct, G?
Oh yeah, just content creator stuff. We don't want to
Right.
shoot the breeze, but
Right.
if you're
Just want to throw
interested
that
in,
out there. I mean, it doesn't have to be related to this specific topic.
we're trying to figure out a way to offer our consulting and get people moving along here. And sometimes it's more conducive in an off-air type of thing. So yeah, we're going to try doing that for a bit here and for about an hour after the show. So I know people may not be ready for that this week, but if you are, let us know. We can send you a link. And definitely for next week, if you want to plan for that, if it's applicable, or our schedules for the most part. If there's a time that's better for you and you'd like to chat with the both of us or one of us individually, let us know. Because our goal is to see others succeed. We're not just here to bloviate or whatever.
100%.
One of the things is I put in, who is your new viewer? So, dang it, what were you talking about when I put in, who is your new viewer? But obviously that's a fairly obvious question on the surface. But this last one, engagement equals something to see. You were talking about a bunch of different things there, but when you when I hear the engagement word, or when you think about, again, do I worry about my new viewers who I don't know who they are yet, and they may not, who knows what they want? Question mark, right? And how many of them are there, and are they even out there? Or returning audience, people are there, and if you don't cater to what they came for, you suspect they may book, especially when they have options, right? So engagement is something to see. So if you're, I don't know, if you're at a some kind of an event and there's a lot of pop-up tents, and you arrive from the parking lot and you come down the hill towards the event, and everybody's at 3 tents, what does that tell you? There's 17 tents out there and everybody is at 3 tents, right? That engagement is going to draw new people, right? It's some curiosity, some interest. So the engagement itself does bring in new people, right?
Well, I would say that the opposite can be true as well, because we're talking about the individualistic nature of people, and also the curious nature of people. That if it's an event, somebody shows up, they're new to that event, there's 6 tents, and like you say, 3 of them are jam packed. Yeah, I mean, it's the mob mentality, jumping on the bandwagon. It's a human element that there are people that are going to gravitate toward the 3 that are jam packed. Hey, oh, they're jam packed. We got to get
I
in
was
there. What's
thinking
going
more
on?
of the, something's engaging there, something's going
But
on, and
yeah,
the other 3 might be bland. That's
but
all.
it could be you get certain people that are maybe a bit cynical, and then maybe they're a bit more curious too. That the cynical part may say, "Oh, well, that's jam packed. What are they doing in there to draw them in? Right? Are they giving away free cookies just to get
Yeah, is there
people in the
coffee
tent? Are
over
they
there, or
right? Exactly." And then you say, "Okay, because those tents are jam packed, I can get more one-on-one time, more attention, more whatever in these other tents." So that is something that I think that smaller creators can leverage, to build up more of a core audience, right? Focus on, or at least be thinking, I don't want to say focus on, but at least be thinking about the other types of people, the types of people that are not the people that jump on bandwagons, right? And they know that if they go to your channel, they're going to get the information that they need, just like they would with a much, much larger channel. But you're going to reply to their comments, right? You're going to address them out there in the live chat, like Chris and Ozzy and Sheepires and Duo and all the others that are out there, right? They know that you're going to, because it's not, you don't have that jam packed tent, right? You're going to be able to spend a little more time with them, answering their questions, following through, following up, and all of that. So that's an angle to play as well.
that doesn't scale. That works for a minute until, I don't know,
I didn't say
10,000
it scaled. I
subscribers,
specifically
30,000.
said a tactic for smaller channels.
No, yeah, you're right. But I'm just saying it's a tactic to get started, but is it a tactic towards long-term effort or long-term strategy?
It's not, because eventually you're going to grow to the point that you're getting so many comments and you're getting so much.
Right.
Imagine out
Or you'll
there
have
if,
to have an infrastructure to support that, which is
yeah,
just complicated.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if the chat out there, I read those names off a second ago, folks out there in the live chat. Imagine if that chat was a flurry, like it was a blur. It was going by so quick.
Well,
Like
when
you
Jared
couldn't
was
do that.
live for 12 freaking hours the other day,
Yeah.
watching I think it was the ATF something, I
Right.
forget what it was, but raised 10 grand for GOA, and yeah, the chats were just you could address one here and there, even with the little at symbol, so you can highlight it and see it. There's just no way. So,
Hmm. Yeah.
and that he's a giant channel, but you'll experience that, well, at a different point for everybody, but that'll happen. Depends on how engaged your audience is as well, I suppose. Like if your audience is just there to sit there, then you can have hundreds and millions of them, really. If they're going to interact at all, then it's going to be throttled by how much bandwidth you've got to be able
Right.
to deal with those back and forths. And that could just as be thank you to a comment type of stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so then, who is your new viewer? And I guess, who is your viewer? Who would you like your viewer to be? Maybe that was the question.
Hmm.
And, I think I forget what it was you were talking about specifically when I typed that in there, but it wasn't important enough to have, stop your flow.
Right.
But if you're just targeting the random, then you're going to have to put out the thing of the day, and you're going to have to pander. So yeah, if you want to go after the person who owns this vehicle, who drives to this place for this reason. So the person who owns this vehicle drives to this state for fishing rather than hunting, or to this state in this vehicle for hang gliding versus fishing. That's pretty specific. So if you can go, the people that go to this state, well, now you're going to get people going there for weddings and for this and that and the other thing and who knows what. So it's going to be hard to target them. You go to the people that go to this state in this vehicle. Well, because of the vehicle, if it's a Humvee or if it's a Ferrari, right, you're going to get a filter there. So people that go to this state in this vehicle, and then maybe for the outdoors, or you get a little bit filtered down. But if you start getting down to for fishing, and then it's like, okay, for trout fishing, oh come on, then what do you expect? You're going to find a million people? There's only 18 people that do that. So I don't know if but knowing your audience, knowing your new viewer, if you're looking for those people who have all these criteria, then get ready to have a small channel that never gets bigger, because you'll
Yeah.
have created a place for few people.
Well,
But if you open it up, then you better start getting ready to talk about weddings and other things that are going on
yeah.
in the state. Go ahead.
Right. Well, two things with that. I want to address the how you figure out the new viewer or whatever. Um, but to your point, man, I lost my train of thought. What were you saying there about um, crap?
Sorry, I was kind of saying, like, who is your new viewer? Kind of have that objective in mind,
No, the
and
very
then
last
like
part when you were
you
talking
got
about
to
the fishing
react to the
thing.
new
Oh, I
viewer.
get it. I get it. I get it. You were talking about a small, you're going to have a
Small
small core
niche.
audience. You're
Yeah.
playing to a small niche. So I'm going to throw this out there right off the bat. I say this all the time. Do not let numbers define the success of your channel. There is,
Big or
there's
small.
plenty,
Big or
there are
small. Big
plenty,
does not
no,
mean
a
good.
100%. That's my point. There are plenty of channels out there. I put myself in this category with the Clover Tag channel, 15,000 subscribers, with everything I'm able to do and the people I know and just everything going on. Like for me, it's a success, like completely. I felt that way at 5,000 subscribers. I felt that way at 2,000 subscribers, right? Do not let the numbers, oh, well, I got 2,000 subscribers and, you're looking at channels that have 100,000 or a million subscribers, right? And you're defining success by that, by those are they're arbitrary numbers. Let's be honest. Don't do that, because maybe that's what you want to do. Maybe you want to talk about driving into another state in a Hummer and trout fishing, right? Very narrow niche, but you might only grow to 2 or 3 thousand subscribers. But who knows where that leads? If you've got 2 or 3 thousand subscribers, and they're super engaged and they're super loyal, and then if you start talking about dealing with um, companies in the trout fishing industry or in the Hummer industry or whatever it might be, right? Like you're going to have really good conversion rates and everything else, and you're going to be able to be successful even though you don't have those big numbers. So keep all of that into perspective. Um, Jumping back to the real quick to the new viewer, analytics, analytics, and analytics. You're going to be able to tell. You're going to be able to go in. You're going to see your in analytics, and you're going to, and we're talking about in the YouTube studio, either desktop or mobile. You're going to be able to see your new viewers. You're going to be able to see returning viewers. You're going to be able to see the traffic sources for those new viewers. Where do they come from? Right. Well, they can come from, let's just talk about a few of the ways that new viewers can come in. They can come from one of the most rare ways, quite honestly, even though it's one of the most powerful, is by other viewers sharing your content. You can come in that way, right? And by other viewers sharing your content, they're typically sharing it with people that are like-minded to themselves, and then therefore when they share it, it's super powerful because they're sharing something that that person, odds are, wants to see and is really going to enjoy because they have things in common with the person sharing it, right? So one of the most powerful ways, but one of the most underused ways, is by viewers sharing stuff, right? Then you walk up the chain and then you go, okay, well, you've got search, right? Well, search is a direct thing. Like somebody types in something, they're looking for an answer to a problem, right? They're looking for more information on a subject, whatever it might be. Um, that comes with a challenge, though. Like I said, sharing doesn't hardly come with any challenges. That's what's so beautiful about it. Search comes with a little bit of challenge. I can't tell you the number of times just because of the way the distribution algorithms work on YouTube. I can't tell you the number of times that I went in and searched. I did it yesterday with cordless weed eaters. I watched 3 or 4 videos. I didn't like. I didn't sub to a single one of them. And I'll raise my hand and I'll admit to that. Why? Because I was looking for a specific thing. Once I got that information, I was done. Right. So what you've got to do is you've got to present in a way, you got to be doing something different, something that catches attention, something that's like, oh, wow, I like this dude, I like this chick, I like the way they present, something to hook, right? Set the hook, use the fishing analogy we used earlier, and keep them on the line there, right? And that becomes difficult. It's a topic for a whole other show when we get into that. Then you've got browse, right? And browse is the big dog. If you go into your analytics and you're looking at your distribution funnels and your other things, the higher your percentages in browse, typically the faster you're going to be growing. And the reason is that means that YouTube is showing your content on the YouTube homepage in suggested. It's suggesting your content to other people that are not familiar with your channel, that is not subscribed with your channel. Maybe they've never watched one of your videos before, but your videos align with similar stuff that they're already watching, right? And so you've got that. So that
How
can
often you
be
think that's the main page versus you're watching Gizzards' video and Ghost's video is a suggestion one under
browse
there
and
underneath the
suggestion is
comments?
2 different things. Yes, browse is the
Oh,
homepage.
okay.
They're very similar. So that's why I lumped them together. I'm glad you brought that up, G. So it's important to
Because
clarify.
that's the whole idea of like
The
collaboration. If you're
Yeah,
always chatting together, always
yeah,
got audience back and forth, then you're probably going to see Ghost's thing on
yeah.
Gizzards is suggested. But
All I'm saying is the type of viewer that you're getting in from browse is very similar to the type of viewer you're getting in from suggestion. But you're right, 2 totally different issues. Browse is YouTube is serving that up on their homepage. Suggestion is YouTube is serving that up on another
well,
video they're watching.
it's in a different place, but YouTube's still grabbing that from the same place. They're going, okay, you looked at Gizzards' show, you like this kind of stuff. We're showing you Ghost.
Mhm.
Like, in other words, we're going to show you Ghost
Suggested is
here,
more
and we're going to
specific.
show you Ghost over here. But when you're
Yeah,
browsing, the stuff that's on the page in front of you when you browse is
yeah.
still presented by YouTube. They don't just roll a dice
That's
and a
true, but it's
random Rubik's cube comes up.
more specific and suggested. So the
You're
a
saying
video
suggested
shown,
is the most specific,
yes, because
most targeted.
suggested is your video alongside one that viewer is watching. So
Right.
that video is directly related to that specific video. When
Now
you're
it'll
talking
also,
about
if
when you're
Gizzard
talking
is,
about browse, the browse feature on your homepage, that is related to the overall viewer habits, right? So it's going to
yeah,
be watered
your
down.
interest
Like
and
we
all.
watch all kinds of different things. So it's going to be a little more watered down on the
For sure.
browse than it is on suggestion. But
And
as a
if
smaller
Gizzard is
YouTuber,
talking about Tuesday ice cream stuff, then you're going to get suggested Tuesday ice cream stuff also, not just Ghost.
on
So
you're
there's
going to get
always that too.
suggested on the browse page, right?
No, I'm saying when you're watching a show
Oh, when
about
you're watching a
dogs,
show about it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you're gonna get suggested stuff on people you're familiar with, but also topics that are on topic.
For the
So
most
you're
part,
right; they're all
right?
going to be different a little bit.
Yeah, but yeah, and suggested can be powerful. That's why it's people will often say, and I had um I've seen this over and over and over where there'll be big YouTubers that are doing, and people will go, well, so and so's already done this video, right? Well, okay, so and so million subscriber channel may have already done this video. So here's something to think about is if so and so's already done this video, how can I do the same video, right? And maybe put a little different twist on it. Maybe do it in a little different way. Maybe cover some things that that creator didn't cover, right? And by doing that, you get that video in the suggestion of the million subscriber channel. How many new people are you going to bring in with that, right? Um, and obviously that's a rhetorical question. That's going to depend on the channel and the topic and the
Yeah, it's not a
presentation and
mechanism;
other
it's
things.
just a possibility.
But that it is a tactic that can work. So many times people say, "Oh, well, there's so many people that's done that video, right?" Or so and so big channel did that video. I'm not going to do it because they've sucked up all the traffic. There's too much competition. Well, you're viewing it as competition when it could be something, use a NASCAR term, I guess, that you can draft off of, right? Like, Home Dude is in the lead. Sure, it's a huge channel and everything else.
Well, it's
But that
drafting if
doesn't
you're
mean
just
you can't.
standing. It's
Yeah.
drafting if you're just standing there. But let's say they go there and they do everything from the right-handed point of view, like almost everybody does. And if you
Mhm.
go there and do, hey, remember this is how it applies to the left-handed.
Yep.
Now you've added value and created something that people
Right.
went there to find out, knew they were going to
Mhm.
be having to
And that's a great
deal with, and then boom, you've created a viewer, right? A
and that's a
subscriber.
great and that's a great point, G. So when you do that, lean into that. Imagine yourself as the viewer watching that big channel video. And this big channel video hasn't mentioned this topic. They haven't broken it down from the left-handed perspective, right? Whatever the case may be. Your title and your thumbnail, which is what's going to show up over there in the suggestion, make sure that you lean into what your video offers over that million subscriber video or whatever it might be. That way, while that person's watching that video, and they're sitting there and they may be thinking, "Man, but I'm left-handed. I mean, okay, I give the gist, but I'm left-handed. I don't." And over in the corner is a she fires video that is the same firearm, let's say, but you know, it's obvious that in the thumbnail that it's left-handed. Maybe there's big text that says left-handed, and it says that in the title, like
The
left-handed
left-handeds,
perspective.
they have a little hand signal they do to each other. They know.
There you
They have a
go.
little thing they
Right.
can do.
Right. So lean into those differences or what you add over that video. That way, when somebody's viewing that, they just don't see that as the same thing. They don't look and go, "Oh, look at this other video that's seemingly exactly the same." No, 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 no. This video over here is answering a question the video I'm watching has not answered.
And say thanks to Chris for the super chat. I can't tag him from the StreamYard. The API doesn't go backwards, but thanks for that super chat. Let's take a second and say hey to the people that are joining us live. We are doing a live show after all because we appreciate the interactive part of this whole internet. We got Worthwhile Fun was first one to show up. Hopefully she's still out there. It looks like she's working again today. Well, I should say volunteering again today. Thanks for what you do in Missouri. Ozzy's out there. 500 Magnum. DJ was in here for a bit. We got Milsurp, first, the next one in after that. Then She Fires and Chris in and out, and Smeggy's out there, as well as Ghost and the Gizzard, the G's, double G's. And I think that's everybody. If I'm
And
missing you
remember
because you didn't
that,
say nothing out there.
after we close this here out, we will have the private consult in the after chat. If anybody wants to partake of that, get specific, and it doesn't have to relate to the topic today. We'll get you a link and you can jump in and we'll hash out
Work though,
specifically.
not shoot the shit. Work.
No, yeah, it will definitely be a workshop. Yeah,
Work on your
we'll be
channel, and we're going to be
yes,
trying to do that as a regular. So
yeah,
we'll see
yeah,
if
yeah, yeah.
that's something that have any interest in. There might be a better time of the week, but
Now let
we'll
me
talk.
DM out there. DM Boss out there says he sent me a DM on Discord, dude. I haven't even fired up Discord in like a year or longer. So you may want to hit me up on something else, email or IG or FB or something. But I'll try to get it loaded.
I'm
I don't even
assuming
know
it's
that I
still
got the
talking.
program on my computer anymore to get over there.
Okay, so we had kind of a riff, and then we've been explaining that. What do we go, an hour, or should we go 90 minutes?
Let's go. Let's try to keep it in an hour if we're gonna try to do consults.
Okay, give us a heads up if you're interested in a link so we know. And then we'll go on to the first real comment that came in from She Fires earlier. She said, like business, it's easier to retain than get new eyeballs, right? Some would, or same would apply. The question mark. The returning viewers are more actively engaged, so that is better with analytics. I mean, for sure. And I mean, it
Yeah.
depends. If you're doing consistency, you're offering peanut butter sandwiches, then everybody figures out you got peanut butter sandwiches and they like peanut butter sandwiches, then they're going to show up. Having Coca-Cola, where they're going to drink that with every meal, is probably a better item to have on the menu than a peanut butter sandwich, what they're only going to want occasionally. But the problem is if you do peanut butter sandwich, then lasagna, then drinks, and then breakfast food. If you're all over the place, then you're going to attract a bunch of people that are. So I think yes, but I guess yes, of course, but then you're also kind of confining yourself to do that, right? But if we're talking to people who are creating channels to grow, then consistency brings return visitors or return viewers, right? Brings audience. Clover's turn. I don't know if he's going to address this one. He refuses to.
Yeah, I mean we got some thoughts a little bit about the last part there. Um, Talking about the returning viewer, your loyal viewers, that sort of thing. Yes, because getting the most view velocity on a video when you publish it is very important. And so, creators, YouTube has thought about pulling down. Everybody's probably seen if you went into your studio, how it ranks in the last 10 videos type thing, right? 1 of 10, 3 of 10, 7 of 10, whatever it might be. And they thought about pulling that, and we've railed against it. And they thought about pulling it because of YouTube is really concerned with uh, the mental health of creators, right? And creators worrying them too much or causing them to focus on the wrong things. And all too often, you'll look at that and you'll get discouraged because maybe that video is only 5 of 10, right? And you're trying to hit that 1 of 10 every single time. And what you got to look at is as your channel grows, like, okay, it may be only hitting 5 of 10, but if your channel has grown, that 5 of 10 may be the same number wise, right? As 1 of 10 was 3 or 4 months ago, right? So it's not as bad as it seems. At first you look and you go, crap, I worked really hard on that video and it's only 5 of 10. Yeah, okay, but it's still top 10. And more importantly than that, it's better than the videos you were, the 1 of 10s you were doing a couple of months ago. So, you got to look a little deeper into numbers. Now, that said, with the loyal viewers, the returning viewers, and getting that engagement. One of the problems that I see all too often, and there's various reasons. We're talking to people, viewers have their reasons for doing this. Maybe their work schedule, it may be their time zone, could be any number of different things. But if you go in I encourage people to go in their studio and look at this, and it's like it's crazy, and it'll explain a lot. We get so many complaints about notifications. I didn't get the notification for this video. I didn't get, whatever. Um, but if you go into your analytics and look, if you're getting 8, 10, 12, 15% of people that have notifications on, and we're talking about people that are subscribed to your channel, you're doing good by average across YouTube. So while you get people that complain that they're not knowing that they don't know that you're getting put a new video out, that you published a new video. On the same token, the vast majority of those people have the notifications turned off for whatever reason. So that can get a little bit frustrating because it is important. It is important as a viewer, if you like a channel, if you value a channel, if you want to help a channel grow, that you have a way, and notifications suck. Don't get me wrong. YouTube does not work off of a notifications model anymore. But it's important that you hit your YouTube homepage. I think is probably the best way, because if somebody drops a new video, a creator drops a new video, creator that you watch and you're subscribed to, odds are it's going to show up on that homepage. If I publish one right now and you go hit your homepage, it's going to show up, right? Second thing is hit that creator's homepage. The third thing is utilize social media to push and promote. And I see a lot of creators that are not they they don't utilize social media to promote the publishing of a video. And that can help, because that can help make those viewers, not only can it bring in new viewers, don't get me wrong, right? Promotion is a good thing. But it can help entice those regular viewers, those subscribers, to come in and watch too, which bump those initial numbers, which then triggers YouTube to go, oh wow, this video, right, um, is doing pretty good. It just got released and it's getting this traffic and this engagement. Let's push it out to more people. So yeah, well, that last part that Sheephours brings up, the returning viewers uh, being better for analytics. Yeah, 100%.
Analytics would be an interesting topic. Well, no, it wouldn't. It'd be a fun topic, but for certain people. But
Depends on the person, but when you start getting into numbers and stuff, like you can be, it's really dangerous when you start talking analytics, because there's so much. YouTube offers so many analytics that, number one, it's overwhelming. Number two, it's really, really nerdy because you're dealing with a bunch of numbers. And number three, it can cause a situation where creators, especially smaller creators, focus too much on the numbers, and more specifically, they focus too much on the wrong numbers, right? Like we hear subscriber count talked about all the time. That's just a YouTube standard, right? As you learn more, right? As you get into these chats, as you watch other creator helper channels and other things, you start to realize that subscribers is really low on the totem pole as far as analytics, as far as metrics, right? There's other things that are far more important. But looking at your analytics is more than just looking and go, oh, here's this number. Oh, that's cool. Or, oh, that sucks, right? Analytics are important to dissect those numbers. Then this is where it starts getting really nerdy. And I'm speaking in the general. Um, but it's where it gets really nerdy, is to dive in and go, okay, why is this number this way, right? And you can go down a long rabbit hole. But I'll tell you what, a lot of times it can be beneficial, because there are times when you can go in and you can find specific words that you use in a video, specific phrases you use in a video that turn people off. And a way you can do that is through your analytics, through, audience and retention and those types of analytics. And you can figure that stuff out. And then you can stop saying those words, maybe use a different word, or you can, stop saying that phrase, or maybe use a different phrase, or maybe you've got some kind of weird B-roll, or maybe it's your intro, or maybe there could be something that's hanging you up. Analytics can tell you that.
80% of non-returning viewers, it's because of 9mm. So quit using it. Quit talking about it. We'll get
Very
to
possible.
Smeggy saying, if you keep all your same audience, what's the point of doing a channel? You should be trying to get at least half new people.
More than that, but yeah, new viewers is what drives your video, and what it doesn't initially launch. Like Sheefire's pointed out earlier, your loyal, engaged audience is where you get the boost from engagement. You get the early boost on a video that was newly published, that sort of thing. Great benefit there. New loyal subscribers are also your support system and your support mechanism. So they're going to give you valuable feedback about your channel and stuff like that. They're monetarily will support you, click whether that's clicking affiliate links or a membership or Patreon or whatever it might be. But there is truth here with what Smeggy is saying too. When you go into your analytics and you look, and you're looking at your ratio of how many new people watch your content versus how many subscribers. Some people have this backwards, right? And they'll go in and they'll say, "Oh, well, I show that 80% of my views are coming from people that are not subscribed. So be sure you subscribe." Blah 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 blah, and that's cool, right? But they see that as a bad thing. It's not. You want your new subscribers to be vastly a larger percentage than your returning your new viewers, I should say, on that video or on your channel. You want that to be new people, a vastly larger percentage. And the reason is, number one, there's two reasons. Number one is, if that that person is already a subscriber, they can't subscribe, right? So if that number is larger, that percentage is larger, that means there's definitely people out there. You have room to grow. You have the opportunity to bring more people into that loyal camp, into that loyal subscriber camp, right? That's a good thing. Um, the second thing, I lost my train of thought on. So jump in, G, if you want to.
I have a puppy mall in me. I was going to say that's once you've got all the people that drive to that state with that vehicle to trout fish,
Oh,
then
I
you're
remembered.
talking to all of them. And
Yeah,
the problem is that okay, so unless you've got that niche that also happens to be massive, and that's possible. There's transitory niches, and then there's whatever it's called when you just park there, kind of niche. So if it's something that people do because of their tradition or their culture, or I don't know, like they're just into it, they're never leaving it, then you may have them forever, right? Like they're in it. So 2A is like that.
yeah,
People are typically, I care about 2A. It's important to me. Doesn't mean you got them for life because they can quit
right.
liking your cut of your face or whatever, look at your face. But
Hmm.
there's things that are core values to people. Their kids, right? The food,
Yeah,
I don't know, religion, or sort of things that are core. But then there's still gonna, and then as opposed to donuts, which people are like, oh yeah, donut channel, that's awesome. Okay, a million other things are more important than that. Goodbye, donut channel, right? So having a core channel or whatever. Okay.
yeah.
Um, Anyhow, the idea, I don't know, I lost my train of thought because I'm reading what you're putting
Well,
in comments here.
I did. Yeah, I think I probably threw you off in the side chat while
I
I was
was just
making a note.
reiterating
Yeah,
what you said, though. I
but
was
I
just
remembered my second
third.
point.
Yeah, go ahead.
My second point of you want that percentage of new viewers to be vastly higher than the subscribers is because that's an indication that YouTube is pushing your content to new people. Um, and that's one of the farces when you hear somebody that says, "Oh, I'm blacklisted, I'm shadow banned, I'm this, I'm that, blah blah blah," and then you get a peek at their analytics, and I've seen this a few times, not a whole lot because most people keep their analytics private. And then you see that, and you see that they're 90+% new audience, and you're like, yeah, I hate to tell you, buddy, you ain't shadow banned. Not with those type of numbers. Like, you're just not doing the best job you can as a creator
And
uh,
somebody who
at
doesn't get
bringing in the
anybody
audience.
coming back, like they just offend or annoy everybody that comes by, then they're like, I don't get to know, and nobody sticks around. Like, "No, I'm
Right.
not, I'm shadow banned." Like, no, you're not. You just suck, and everybody's looking at you once and
Right.
leaving. Maybe they
Yep.
double check and then they leave.
Yeah.
That can happen, and that's going to look like nobody ever finds me. Nobody sticks around. Nobody can find my chats when they're live. Like, yeah, nobody wants to find your chat when it's live.
Yep. It could be. Sometimes you have to face a cold hard truth, and there's nothing wrong with that. And that's one of the things. Like the numbers don't lie. Like the analytics don't lie. When you start diving into those, especially in a relationship to in relation to new viewers and returning viewers that you were talking about today, yeah, they're going to give you direction without a doubt. You may not like that direction, but they're going to give you direction.
So we did get, I guess, another comment here from Work the Trigger. We're not getting anybody that says they want to chat off air, so I guess we don't need to allot time for that. So we'll answer this last question, this last point that came up, and then we'll go to the poll. So if you haven't answered the poll, we're going to address the poll question here. But Clover will address the poll question. I'll be taking a little annoying dog outside. Work the Trigger says, though, analytics can tell you everything except how to fix your analytics. That's true. I don't rely heavily on analytics. Even if you are doing a channel strictly for business or strictly for some objective like growth or some awareness thing, like the analytics can tell you where you've been, but just like a roadmap isn't going to tell you road conditions. It can give you a vague idea, but it's good for archiving, and it's good for I don't know. They're interesting, and they can tell you diagnostics. It's like a dashboard on your car. You need it, but it's not by itself going to do anything for you. You still need to drive. You still need to know where you're going. You still need to do the effort of sitting in the driver's seat and getting there. But the dashboard makes it easier, makes it possible for you to catch something like a heating engine before, and deal with it before it goes out. It gives you more and more ability as you become a more skilled driver. But the dashboard itself is nothing. It's just the dashboard. You have to become a driver first.
Oh, yeah. I was agreeing with you.
I don't know if you want to add to that or not, but
I do
okay,
want
go
to
ahead.
address that because I don't agree 100%.
Oh, okay.
And I did want to say Gizzard is saying he wants an off air, so we'll probably wrap it
Oh,
up.
okay.
I'm guessing here in a minute. But
Yeah.
yeah, with Work the Trigger out there, and thanks for jumping in, bro. Appreciate it. Says accept how to fix your analytics. Well, there are tips all within. Now, let me caveat this by saying I'm not a huge user of mobile, like mobile studio and all. I'm just not. Um, but I know that on the web version, this is why I recommend whether you go out and you'll get you a refurbished $100 refurbished Chromebook or something, that you have some type of a PC based platform to be able to get into the browser. It can be very beneficial. That can be a very good investment to make in your channel. I think even if you're mobile centric, I don't have a problem if people are fluent in mobile and can navigate that and do that. I can't. It drives me up the wall. But I do think there's benefit to having access to the browser. And one of the reasons is it seems there's more tips. Like YouTube laces tips all in your analytics that says, hey, this is calculated on this or based on this and blah blah blah. And again, if you deep dive, um, how to fix, like specifically how to fix, no. But I fall back to what I said earlier. If your video retention is low, right? Yeah, okay, that's an analytic, and you're looking and you go, oh man, my video retention is just crap, you know, and YouTube doesn't tell me how to fix it. Well, yeah, they have analytics, they have tools within there that can tell you how to fix it. They don't specifically tell you, but again, you can go through and search and do a little bit of research into videos and where that hockey stick, curves, check that spot of, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 videos. And if that curves at your intro or your stinger or your logo or your opening or some type of a b-roll or where you're asking for people to subscribe, or then that's an indication that's telling you that your retention will be higher if you revamp that, do that another way, do something different with that, right? And then so for the next few videos, once you figure that out, try it, because I will say this: you constantly need to be evolving and trying new things. Um, YouTube, like any other platform out there, is an ever-changing platform. The algorithms change, the audiences come and go and change. There's the only constant is change. And so as creators, we need to be tweaking and playing with stuff all the time. Now, 99% of the time, it may not work out. You may do a couple of one-off videos that you've changed, around your format, the way that you're doing things, whatever, and you don't see any type of change, right? But that 1% of the time, like, it only takes that 1% of the time. You know what I mean? So if that 1% of the time you've you've hit that home run, right? Like, that video takes off, it's semi-viral, and you're off to the races at that point. So don't be, I guess what I'm saying is, don't be afraid to experiment, and your analytics can give you some ideas of what to experiment with.
All right, so we'll just do a lightning round then with the poll. So the poll was, which is more important, to a new channel? So to a new channel, not just more important, period. So which is more important to a new channel, new audience or returning audience? Which do you think, I don't know if you looked, which do you think the audience picked?
Probably new audience, I would hope.
Yep, 53%. So that's your vote?
Yeah, for growth, yeah, without a doubt, new audience, and that's no offense to any of the wonderful people that are long-term loyal viewers of of the Clover Tag channel, but yeah, for growth, it's undeniable.
Hold on. Just to play devil's advocate, because there is another way to look at it. I think we're probably way more than another way, but other ways to look at it. A returning audience that's savvy versus a returning audience that's a bunch of new people. If you had a bunch of returning audience that's new to the internet, that's one thing. But a bunch of returning audience that understands and has their own reach, a returning audience of content creators, for example. So I think it's possible to have a returning audience
Well,
strategy work, but I agree for numbers and stuff, and for
yeah, that's why I specifically said growth. Like, depending on your goals as a channel, maybe not, right? Like,
well, no, but I
but
mean,
if
even for growth, you could probably figure out a way to launch in such a way that you say, "Hey, everybody, you know what I'm doing? Help me out!" Boom, and then you use exponential growth through a strategic call to action, as opposed to the organic well,
but you
people will find me.
still, yeah, but in my example earlier, right, where publish a video, you really lean into your loyal subscribers, right? To kickstart that video, right? To rocket launch that video. That's great. And those are important. But ultimately, why are you doing that? You're doing that to bring in new people. And if you bring in new people and they become subscribers, they're no longer new people. So new people are still more important.
Okay, it's now 50-50.
Again, for growth.
Yeah. So with that, we'll end this one. We'll give Gizzard a link. Nobody else asked for one, and we'll
Let's
chat a
do
little
it.
bit off here. Next week we'll be doing the same. I mean, we'll end it. We're not going to waste our time offering if nobody's interested. But if you're interested in chatting specifically about your project with two people that are interested in helping you out, then and there's no charge or nothing. We're just spend an hour or so doing this.
Yep.
But not shooting shit. We're here to work. Then let's chat. So thanks everybody for joining us. Clover, what do you got coming up?
Got Perry with the Right to Bear Insurance on the podcast tomorrow. And then got Sean with We Like Shooting in the house on Thursday on the podcast. So got one more video to drop today, the very last video out of NRAM to drop today. Been dropping those, I don't know, dropped 5 in the last week or so. So yeah, and then lots and lots and lots of review and product stuff left over from SHOT, as well as new stuff that will be trickling in from NRAM. So a lot going on the main channel, the Clover Tag channel, obviously.
Boy, Instagram is being very weird getting me Gizzard's link. But thanks everybody for joining us. We'll be back next week. And again, we'll do the off-air thing next week if you want to schedule for it or plan for it. Or give us an idea if you've got a better time for that. hopefully this helped. We've got a description down there what the robots thought about this whole thing, and we'll be back next week.